So Group D in the Rugby World Cup is currently extremely close, so this is a crucial game for Japan and Samoa. Both of these sides sitting on 5 points. Whoever wins this, having a very good chance making it through to the quarterfinals. But in this preview, we will be looking through at the lineup selected, the key players, previous fixtures that the two sides have played in, which there is almost a little bit of a trend, and then also a prediction at the end of the score that we think this game will end up being. First of all, looking through at the starting lineups for Japan, it is going to be in the front row Kita Inagaki, at number 2 Shota Hore, and number 3 Jiwon Gu, who did look like he had an injury like I mentioned in our lineups video, but he is alright to play in this game. In the lock and duo, it is Jack Cornelsen at number 4 and Amato Fakatava as the number 5, a man who got himself a double in the first game for Japan up against Chile. In the loose board trio, Michael Leach at number 6, number 7 Peter Labaskachny, and number 8 it is Kazuki Himeno, who will be the captain for Japan in this game. Looking through at their backline, it is Yutaka Nagare at number 9, number 10. They have gone with Rikia Matsuda, so going with the combination that the Japanese have used in the past. Number 11, it is Hone Nakabula, looking like one of the more dangerous players for Japan throughout this Rugby World Cup so far. When he gets his hands on the ball, does get those running meters. In the midfield combination, it will be at number 12, Ryuto Nakamura, and number 13, Dylan Riley, man who did come off the bench in the last fixture for the Japanese up against England. Number 14, Kotaro Matsushima, and then at number 15, to close out the starting side, it is Lamano Lameki, also a man who came off the bench, but due to the injury of Maziriwa, now gets a spot in the starting side for the Samoans. In the front row, it is James Lay at number 1, Sailala Lamb at 2, and then number 3, Brian Aloamile, so opting to go with Michael Alalatoa off the bench rather. Then in the starting side, in the locking duo, it is Chris Vui at number 4 and Theo McFarland at 5, so a man who did play in the loose forward trio for the last contest for the Samoans. Then in the loose forward trio this week, it is Talini Su at 6, number 7. They have gone with Fritz Lee, and then number 8, Jordan Taufua. The backline, relatively similar to what we did see in the last contest for the Samoans. Number 9, Jonathan Tamatine. Number 10 being Christian Lealiafano. So currently, once again, leaving out Lema Sopawanga from the starting lineup and reserves. Then at number 12, D'Angelo Leola. Number 13, they've gone with Tamua Manu, the man who was at inside centre for last week's game. Number 14, Ed Fidel. And then number 15, Duncan Paioa to close out the starting side. I should also mention Ben Lamb's at number 11. Somehow I forgot 11 when counting to 15. Stay in school, kids. Now looking through at the key players for these two sides. Japan, it is going to be definitely that 4-pack that helps them get the job done in this contest. They have to be physical, as we know the Samoans certainly are going to be. But that back line with that flair could also be what helps Japan over the line for this game. If I had to pick the key players in that 4-pack, Amato Fakatava, definitely a very good shout, seeing as what he's been able to do throughout this Rugby World Cup campaign so far for the Japanese. And also Kazuki Himeno at number 8, the captain, wanting to put on a skipper's effort here and help his side get that little bit closer to the quarterfinals. In the back line for the Japanese, I believe that Hone Nakabula could be a man to watch out for, going head-to-head with Ed Fidel in this game. I think that's going to be a lot of power out on that wing, a lot of speed as well, and an exciting contest to watch. Looking through at the Samoan key players. In the 4-pack, they have decided to get rid of Stephen Luatua from the starting lineup, which I believe was fair enough, seeing as he hasn't quite found that form that a lot of people expected. Fritz Lee at number 7, I believe he will be one of the standout players for the Samoans throughout this game. Plays a very physical game of rugby, also looking to get into those breakdowns for the turnovers. The big thing for Samoa here, though, will be discipline, because I would say out of these two sides, Samoa have given away more penalties throughout this Rugby World Cup campaign so far, whereas Japan, they have dropped the ball more throughout this Rugby World Cup campaign. So it's a bit of a mix, similar to what we saw when these two sides went head-to-head in the Pacific Nations Cup. And in that game, the Samoans were able to get themselves the victory. In the back line for the Samoans, Christian Lealiafano, of course, he will be a key because of that goal kicking. Any extra points that the Samoans can get for this contest will be massively beneficial, as proven from that Pacific Nations Cup outing. And also number 15, Duncan Paioa. He had a very poor game last week. He will admit it. He managed to get himself yellow carded in the first 30 seconds, which I feel like is also impressive, alongside disappointing. If he can have a stand-up performance here, the Samoans have a very decent shot of making their way through to to the quarterfinals. Looking through at the previous fixtures now though for both of these sides. For the Japanese, they did win their first game in the Rugby World Cup, 42 points to 12 in the win. Over Chile, their second game, it was 34 points to 12. They did lose to England. Now that is a bit of a weird trend, but not just for Japan, but also for Samoa. So for Japan's first game in this case, they did concede 12 points. In their next game that they played, they scored 12 points and were defeated. Now remember that trend because we're looking through now at Samoa's previous fixtures. Their first game, they were able to beat Chile, 43 points to 10. Their next game, they did lose to Argentina, 19 points to 10. So both of these sides in Japan and Samoa, whatever they conceded in their first game, they then scored in their next game. So theoretically, if that trend continues, the score in this game should be 12 points to 10 in favour of the Japanese. But now that does take us to the stage of the video where I do try my best to predict the score. Now, I've had a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of whether or not I've been right or wrong throughout this Rugby World Cup. This game, I think it's going to be relatively close between the two sides. Like I mentioned, 12 points to 10, the most likely score in this game, but I am going to up it just that little bit more and say that the end score is going to be Samoa taking out the victory, 22 points to 20. And the reason I say that is I believe Samoa, if they can get their discipline right throughout this game, they've had a couple games under their belt as well to start building up that chemistry once more. I feel like at times throughout this contest they will be able to be quite dominant. Japan will have their moments as well though, so it's going to come down to that second half. Who's able to play the better game of rugby? It did take the Samoans 75 minutes to be able to score their first try up against the Argentinians. Japan, they were a little bit slower getting their tries as well when they were able to score them up against the English. So I think it's going to be a close game, and I hope the weather conditions are dry, because if this game is played in nice conditions, could be an absolute try fest. And one of the reasons that I want it to be an absolute try scoring fest is, of course, if these two sides walk away with 4 or more tries each, they will both receive that bonus point. Currently on the table, the way that it sits, England are on 14 points. Japan and Samoa both sitting on the 5. Then it is Argentina, they are on 4 points. And then Chile at the bottom of the bunch. They are sitting 0 wins from the 3 games. Their final game up against Argentina. So more than likely, we will see Los Pumas walking away from that contest with that bonus, taking them up to 9. And I mentioned every point is crucial in this group. And that is one of the perfect examples of why these two sides want to get a big win here, rather than a low-scoring contest. Of course, a win is brilliant, but getting those extra tries could be absolutely monumental. But I do thank you all very much for tuning into this preview. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know who you think will be walking away with the victory in the comments down below as well. But we will be on the channel doing the live commentary throughout the match. It is an 8 a.m. kickoff here in New Zealand. Should be an outstanding game. And like I mentioned, whoever wins this game progresses just that little bit further in Pool D in a group that every point could be crucial. Definitely with Argentina lurking at the moment with an opportunity of increasing their points when they do face the Chileans. But thank you all very much for tuning in. I will see you all for the next one.